Final hour OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Frankie Corrado, Dear Hayesy-B later in the hour, and Bruce Cassidy coming up here in a moment. It was a great night last night. Canada wins in overtime, and the bars were packed, and I saw Chris Johnston tweeting out that he was speaking with, someone that owns a bar or restaurant downtown, said it was the kind of activity we haven't seen since the Raptors in 19 when they were in the NBA Finals. Like, that's how much life was going on with this tournament. And
that Raptors team in 19, time flies, man.
6 years ago.
We lost 2 years, man. Like COVID, no one was going out watching games.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like, you think about the bars. I was at one downtown, I think, for 2010, I believe. Get them mixed up, 10 and 14. I can't remember. But, some of them you hit the bars, some of them you're at home. It's all a little bit different. But I bet you Boston Pizza was rocking all throughout the country last night. Mail-in in Fridays, brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. Enjoy $15 lunch at BP, where you get an entree, a side, and a drink, and you'll get it all in 20 minutes or less. A fast lunch doesn't have to be fast food. See you for a $15 fast lunch at your local Boston Pizza. It would have been electric last night. And tonight, Raptors, and tomorrow the Leafs. And I'm curious what the Leafs are going to do tomorrow night. Like, I'm sure there'll be ceremonies throughout the league, right? Like, individual teams will welcome back their players, and congratulations to Canada.
Weird, man. It's like, are the Leafs going to are they going to say, congrats to Austin and Mitch on a great tournament, or are they going to say, congrats to Mitch who won the Four Nations and nothing, like... There's only one way to do it. You announce the winner of the tournament. Like,
I think that's what it should be. It's not a charity event. It's not a house league game. Toronto's in Canada. Tomorrow night.
You know how it goes, though.
I know
how it goes.
It could be exactly what you just said. Welcome back from participating, and by the way, Mitch won.
So like Willie's in there too. Hey, Willie, good stuff. And
because you don't want him to be offended.
Willie was
That's
there.
how everyone gets offended these days.
What about offended?
The ice time?
Dude, what are you talking about? Everyone gets offended about everything.
That would be sad. I hear what you're saying, and I understand the era we live in, but the idea of like Willie being like, well, why didn't I get acknowledged for my participation in the Four
I don't think
Nations
that guy
face-off?
cares, to be honest with you.
I don't think he does either, but I don't think it's crazy to think it would be out of the question.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's more the Matthews angle's the awkward one, because his role in it last night, captain of the team. But I think it's Mitch. Seth Jarvis will be here tomorrow night. Congrats. You're not. What are you going to bring Jacob Slavin out and say, "Hey, thanks"? Slavin was unreal. Like Slavin was so good,
dude. I just got to tell you something. Like that defensive play that he makes on Crosby, where he spins around and gets his backhand on that. That is like hockey defense porn. Like that is completely insane.
And
what
the
that
block
guy did,
when he slid across.
Insane. Like, that is top-tier defensive defenseman stuff that not everyone can do.
Yeah. And
that
everyone
guy's the
kept
Connor
saying
McDavid
it. All
of
the
that.
Carolina reporters kept saying it the whole tournament. That guy does that every night, but nobody pays attention to it.
Well, him and Faber were probably the best pairing in the tournament.
Faber was a stud, too.
Faber, that pairing was so good, such a lockdown pairing. You can pencil that in next year.
Dude, last year when we were voting on the awards, Michael Russo in Minnesota was very vocal about Brock Faber, and he was right, man. Like, this guy is unbelievable. Connor Bedard had a great year last year, very worthy of winning it, but you look at this tournament, Bedard's not there, and Brock Faber was a beast. Like, he was awesome.
Yeah.
Really, like, shut down the best players in the world.
That's what I don't like about the awards. People just get caught up in the sexy name, and the sexy name gets it every time.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, that's kind of what happened, I would say, McDavid, because he won the game, I get it. And then McKinnon was the tournament MVP. But those are the two best players, reigning Hart winner. It worked out well for the NHL. And generally speaking, that does happen, especially with point production, rookie of the year. But you're right. I mean, you play the lock or not lock on the American side. Like on the defense, Quinn Hughes is obviously stepping in and playing. Yeah. I mean, clearly he's going to play. So who are they taking out?
McAvoy's a lock.
And
Slavin's a lock. Faber's a lock. Werenski's a lock.
I think Fox is.
Stop talking about them. They're
I don't think Fox is a lock.
They're scaring me.
You don't think Fox is a lock?
No, I didn't think he had a very good tournament at all.
He didn't. No, I agree.
He's been in a kind of a haze all year, to be honest with you. He hasn't been Adam Fox.
But I'm taking Sanderson over him.
You're taking Sanderson over. I can't see USA doing that.
Dude, I'm not far. I'm doing that too. Like, if you want to go over there and everything just kind of, and I know he's not like an emotional kind of like guy, and he doesn't freak out, and he's not Brady Tkachuk, but you can't ho-hum it all the time. Like, there's got to be some kind of dig in and intensity, and it's just never there. I get it. He's really slick. He makes plays. He's patient with the puck, and he's got a real calm demeanor about the way he plays the game. But sometimes there's got to be some jam, man, because it's holding him back right now. There's never any jam.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, if he wasn't there and you needed an American right-handed defenseman, like Seth Jones is American, Neil Pionk is American. Like, there's options. Like, it's not like he's a lock to be there because there's not anyone that can jump over him.
That's a big drop-off, considering his reputation a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Like, he won a Norris, right?
Yeah,
like
the year where all the divisions were sponsored. He was in the Discover card division.
Right, and it was a bit different. I get it. It was in the bubble and all that. But still, I mean, there was a time when he was the guy, the next wave of American defensemen. Anyway, they were on the wrong side of it last night. And, I'll bet you Bruce Cassidy, what a scene for him. Like, going back into Boston, obviously he's got a long history there, and representing his country on the bench, John Cooper, and you get a win like that in overtime. And now you got to get right back at it, and your team in Vegas is waiting for you, and it's like, we got a stretch run here, right? We're going to the Stanley Cup playoffs. We got to get ready for this. I'm sure it's been a whirlwind, and we really appreciate him finding some time. Here he is, the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, big part of the coaching staff with Team Canada at Four Nations. Here's Bruce Cassidy. Where's your head at right now? Bruce, do you have any idea where you are in the world or what?
Oh, yeah, we're just landed in Vegas, so heading home. We were on the road for 8 days before, and we went right from Boston to Montreal. That's where we finished this week. So my son's 14. He probably has a mustache now when I get home. Wow.
Bruce, what did you make of last night? It was, and what did you make of the overall pace of play? Like, everybody, and it's tough to compare eras, but everyone was talking about the incredible pace of it, and it's the best hockey they've ever seen. Like, what did you just make of the overall hockey itself that you just witnessed throughout the 10 days?
Well, it was it's what happens when elite, talented players check well, right? There's just no room out there. You barely had time to get your head up, receive a pass, make a play. So when guys did make a play, really appreciate it, right, at such a high rate of speed when guys are trying to close on them. So that was the first thing you noticed, just not much room out there. Last night the ice looked a little softer than maybe Montreal. I don't know if it was what was going on. So the puck was bounced a little more, so that even added to the difficulties of it. And the physicality, and it's funny, before the tournament you weren't sure, right? Probably everyone's wondering, well, how hard are they going to play? And I think the players knew that this was going to be game on, and that's certainly how it was. So it was great.
Bruce, what was it like, having all these great leaders in one dressing room? You always hear the term lead by example, and, sometimes with your club team, it's a couple, one or two guys that do it. These are all the best of those guys, Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon, all in the same dressing room. What was it like to see that up close and personal?
Well, I'll tell you, they're relatively quiet guys in terms of, I've had Brad Marchand, right? He never stops. He talks the whole time, but a lot of those other guys you mentioned are quiet, and they certainly will speak up, but they're more interactive with each other if they're on the same line, talking about face-off plays or power play breakouts, whatever it is. So you learn a little bit about their personalities. Even the Tampa guys, they've all won. Sorelli, Point, but even Hagel, but they're quiet as well. So it was a little more quiet of a dressing room. Our guy, Mark Stone's very quiet than maybe I expected, which is fine. It worked out. They had quiet confidence. That's one thing I noticed right away. They did more. They're interacting, kind of just going over things with each other in that manner.
Well, with that in mind, when you consider what happened on Saturday, those 3 fights in 9 seconds, Hagel, you said quiet. Sam Bennett is notoriously quiet. Like, he scares people,
yes.
And he's out there fighting. I don't know about but like, I guess, I don't know if you've ever seen anything like that. I don't think anyone ever had. Like, was there an understanding that was coming? Like, what were you thinking with those fights?
Well, I was shocked myself. So I think our guys just responded in the moment. You might, as far as I know. I mean, Hagel, Tkachuk, they Tampa, Florida, right? They've had playoff series, so I don't know if there's something there, previous history, no idea. And then I think, Brady was kind of looking around and, all right, here we go. And then the last one, I think, Miller kind of went to the net. That's the way it's going to be. I think it was just hockey, and I didn't see it coming, and it sure set the tone for the game and maybe the whole tournament after that, right? That this was for real. So I thought it was great. No one hurt in those tilts, so everyone came out of it all right, and off and went and played hockey after that. It was a pretty good hockey game.
Bruce, 82-game season, you're constantly looking to tinker and get guys going, and you got to be hard on some guys, and you got to look at line combinations. How much did the coaching staff as a group kind of after every game chat, or was it just about little things with the amount of talent that was there for Canada?
No. I think Coop, he was always looking for input on the lines, and I think the D pairs stayed a little more consistent because Taves Makar played together so long, and then kind of had every game seemed like one guy was in or out. So you're just subbing in or out because Kale got sick, and then Theo got hurt, and then Mo got sick at the end. So, but the forward lines, there was more discussion on chemistry because, let's face it, you don't have a lot of time to build it.
Well, and you talk about the D pairs. Oh, sorry, Bruce. I thought your phone may have cut out there.
No. Well, I'm sorry if it did. I'm in the car, but no, the forward group was talked about more, and I think it was sometimes to do with right sticks. Had a lot of right sticks, so someone's going to have to play the left wing. That's typically like up in the lineup, like a Mark Stone. Braden Point gets moved up from center to wing. So there's a little bit of that, who fits with who. Mitch ended up on left wing. We saw second half of the game last night with McDavid. So there was a little bit of that we discussed. And Coop has to make that call on the bench. And obviously he made a lot of right ones.
Did you go into this tournament thinking that things would run a little more smoothly? And what I mean by that is, you have a game where Makar is sick, so now you have to make some adjustments. Josh Morrissey doesn't play last night. You're making adjustments. Did you kind of think it would just be, a little more set in stone? And how did you guys handle these obstacles that came your way?
Yeah, well, yes, I assumed it would be. And there was even a travel day with the weather. We had to get out early before after the American game, but that got all thrown out of whack. So you're getting in at 5:30 in the morning. So there was a little more than I would have thought. Theodore, fortunately for us, in the Knights, I think it was right away in game one. So you're juggling five defensemen. Kale's not at his best because there was a lot of that going on for us. We figured we'd have discussions on maybe I think Bennett sat out the first game. Would he go in the second? Things like that we anticipated, but no, not kind of some curveballs. So the guys did a good job handling it.
With Bruce Cassidy of Team Canada and the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll get you out of here with a question we've been kind of collectively wondering and asking, like the transition. We've been wondering about it from a player's perspective because it's go time tomorrow night. You guys are at home against Vancouver, and we're into late Feb. Like the playoffs are right around the corner. So as a coach, you're flying back. You just got home. Like, how do you handle the next 24 hours preparing to get back into NHL action?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had our practices this week. John Stevens ran, so the guys should have their legs that are here. The tough part is, Jack Eichel played a lot of minutes, Noah Hannafin, Mark Stone. Give them a break at some point, just as much mentally as anything. Maybe look at our schedule in the next week. I think we're Saturday, Monday, Thursday, something. So maybe after the Monday game. So that's something we have to discuss. And I think teams that had multiple players, like Colorado, might have to look at that too. But I don't have a great answer for that. The players are going to have to give us some feedback. And then also with roster limitations, right? You can't just park 4 or 5 guys and ice a lineup at today's salary cap. So that's something else you got to think about. But at some point they need a break, that's for sure. So when are we going to get it to those players? I don't know yet. That's something we have to go through with them and do what's best for the team, but also allow them to sort of step away, I think, for a little bit. So that's how we're going to handle it.
Absolutely. Great catching up with you, Bruce. Whirlwind 24 hours. Really appreciate you doing this. Best of luck tomorrow night and down the stretch.
Okay, thanks for having me, fellas. Take care.
You got it. Bruce Cassidy of Team Canada, head coach of the Golden Knights. Interesting answer there. That he's pretty blunt. Like now they're in a pretty good spot in the Pacific.
Yeah, not every team's like that though, and not every team above the coach probably thinks like that too. There's probably ownership. There's probably a GM that's like, we pay you. You better be ready to play, and don't think about asking for any time off. Craig Berube kind of had a laughing answer. He's like, well, who else is going to play?
Yeah, exactly. And what he says about the cap is the best point. You can't just say 4 guys aren't playing. Like, the NHL's not going to allow that. You got to ice the lineup. And like Vegas again with Stone. Now Theodore's banged up and hurt. He had to leave.
Is that like rest of the season hurt his hand or whatever that is?
It was in wrist? Like a little bit of a wrist sling or cast.
Yeah,
so I don't know if it's rest of the season.
I don't know if that's the case either. But Eichel was playing top line minutes effectively. Like him and Matthews were the top 2 centers. Aiden Hill was there, didn't play, but I would presume he's probably at 100%. Will probably start tomorrow night. Kevin Lankinen will play for Vancouver. He's got himself a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
5-year deal with a no-trade clause the first 2 years, I believe, and then a 15-team no-trade the rest of the way, which...
Didn't they just pick that guy up off the scrap heap at the beginning of the season?
They signed him in September for less than $1 million because Demko, they weren't sure if he was going to be available, and Shilovs, they didn't trust him yet. And they were right to not trust him because Shilovs went in the net early in the year, and he couldn't stop the puck, and this Lankinen saved the season. If it wasn't for Lankinen, they would not be anywhere near a playoff spot. So, and you know what? All these other goalies, they like Blackwood signed. He got his deal. Logan Thompson got his deal. This is like market value for what this guy is for them.
Well, and he can thank Demko, and that's the amazing thing that Demko is just they have
going on
no
a
faith in him.
5-game road trip, and he's not going on the trip.
Yeah, they have no faith. You can't have any faith in the guy that he's going to play, and it's crushing. But Kevin Lankinen took full opportunity, and obviously the Canucks, with this action, would suggest to me they have no faith that Demko's going to play.
Well, dude, if Demko gets back and starts playing after this one, which is 15 days from now, and something happens again, like I always wonder, like when do you get to the point where this is like game over? It's like, sorry, man, like what are we going to do with you?
What if it's one of those things for Demko where this is just a lost year and he'll try and play as much as he can, and then he'll hopefully have a good summer and fire it back up next year? Like this year seems like a write-off.
Well, I can't wait to see this guy in Ottawa, what stunt he's going to pull next.
Oh, yeah, Allmark out there, Team Sweden.
Team Sweden, it's like you're getting ready to go against the U.S. right before the game. I'm not feeling well. Go ahead and you play. It's like, thanks.
Well, and he didn't play for Ottawa, and then they
but he had to be there at the Four Nations.
Yeah.
Didn't play a game for Ottawa for 3 months, whatever the hell it was. 20 games.
Weeks.
Yeah.
And then he gets thrown in cold because Lankinen, I believe, got pulled, right?
Gustafson
got pulled. That's right.
Yeah.
Markstrom was hurt. Gustafson got pulled. And all of a sudden, Allmark's in there, and you're like, this guy hasn't played in 6 weeks.
So then he gets a chance, and then the last game he's like, nah, I don't feel
Not
good.
feeling well, I'm out. I got to think of Ottawa. I got to think of the Sens here. I got to put team first.
Dude, that guy is starting to really drive me nuts. If he's been the Vezina winner and a solid competitor and goaltender for the Ottawa Senators, they're not even worried about making the play. I'm convinced of that. If that guy was in the net doing his thing on a nightly basis, he's been ninja dust for 2 months. Like, they've already been through it with Matt Murray and then with Korpisalo, and they bring this guy in. They think they've got the right players. Like, start playing and do your job.
Yeah.
Well, especially without Norris and Pinto. Like, not having those two guys, that's crippling.
Go in there and
them.
steal some games because you owe it to them.
Yeah.
Well, and look at Brady Tkachuk, man. The way he was playing, he's sitting out there saying, biggest game of my life, biggest game of his career.
Imagine that, Hayes. Think about that. Like, if you're pulling the pin like that or whatever the hell he's doing, looking at Brady Tkachuk with how intense that guy is and how bad he wants to win and play, I wouldn't be able to look. I don't know how he'd be able to look Brady in the face.
Well, listen, man. I hope they find a way to get in, and I hope Tkachuk continues to get those opportunities because he is a throwback, man.
Dude, first round of the playoffs with Brady Tkachuk. You know the way the first round is. It's just like all systems go. Guys are flying through the boards head first, blocking a million shots. He was made for that. And we got to see it in this entire tournament, and he did it all. Like he brought it all to the table. Whether it was the fighting, whether it was the hitting, whether it was hitting the right type of player for Team Canada, making sure you're going after Makar, making it hard for him, and then scoring big goals. Like he was built for hockey, and I think going back to Ottawa now. Not that it wasn't credible from him before, because he's a captain and he's a leader there, but now it's like he saw that. That's different than what he has seen playing for Ottawa his entire career, where it's just like, frustrating night, we lose again, we miss the playoffs, we'll try again next year. He just got to see what it's like to be around the best and be the best.
And his profile in the U.S. blew up over 2 weeks. It blew up. And that's another element. Like Ottawa, you gotta get in, and he's got to help. Listen, he can't just show up and say I'll be there come game one. He's got to push them over the top.
Yeah.
But those Tkachuk brothers, in terms of their profile the last 2 weeks, it skyrocketed down in the U.S.
Became the face of American hockey.
Effectively, it seems like it. Like that's where people were when they're jumping on board. This is amazing. This is. The two fights, it was the two of them.
Well, as much as Matthews is the best American player, which I think a lot of people would admit, because of the personality that those guys have, they kind of become the poster boy for it. They're like larger than life when it comes to who's representing USA hockey.
Yep, and that's not going to stop. I mean, those guys will clearly be a huge part of it next year. All right, Dear Hayesy-B coming up. Best bet still to come. A little bit later in the hour. And as we know, mailed on Fridays, brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. Enjoy $15 lunch at BP, where you get an entree, a side, and a drink, and you'll get it all in 20 minutes or less. So fast lunch doesn't have to be fast food. See you for a $15 fast lunch at your local Boston Pizza. Dear Hayesy-B still to come. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. Best bet still to come. A little bit later in the hour, we'll get to Dear Hayesy-B in a moment. I'm guessing someone went to maybe Hal Steinbrenner and said, hey, dear Steinbrenner, we got to get the facial hair going here with the Yankees. And it speaks to the significance of that team and that brand, that this is even a story, that we're talking about the fact that guys are going to have beards and mustaches, playing for the Yankees. But it's coming back.
And isn't it crazy that Lou Lamoriello's rule has outlived the Yankees no beard rule? Isn't the Yankees? It started with the Yankees, did it not?
Yeah, George Steinbrenner.
Lou kind of brought it in.
I think in '76 or something like that.
And we just live in a day and age where it's like, just go to hell. I'm not shaving my beard. I'm not cutting my hair.
Right. Exactly. And you're right though. Lou worked with the Yankees and picked it up and said, I'm applying it to my teams. And it still applies for the Islanders, but it doesn't anymore for the Yankees, which is kind of strange. But yeah, it's a new era down there in New York.
Yeah, it's a good decision by the Yankees. Like I don't know. You just can look the way you look however you want. Go out and play hard, and it's for the logo on the jersey. You want a beard, have a beard. I thought that's been ridiculous for years.
It kind of I mean, listen, there's a part of it that is a throwback, and it's
it does look classy. Cool. Everyone's got a nice haircut. Everyone's clean shaven. But let's be serious, man. It's not. It's not feasible.
It's not, and it's not necessary. The reason the Yankees are who they are is because of the talent and the history and the city they're in. Yeah, exactly, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Dude, it used to stress me out, when Lou was in Toronto, if you had 2 days growth on your face, and you're like, am I going to run into this guy, and is he going to say something, or do I have to make sure I sneak into the washroom first thing in the morning, get a shave on, and then start my day? These are the stupid things that you think of when that rule is in place.
It's crazy.
Ridiculous.
It's like private school. You're worried the vice principal is going to catch you, and you're a grown adult walking around a place of business, but Lou could be lurking in the background. All right, you guys ready for some Dear Hayesy-B?
Let's do it. People send in a tweet. They write us for our professional advice on life things. Dear Hayesy-B, every morning my boiler has a gas leak. My wife thinks it's the baby.
Dear Hayesy-B.
If you want to come to Hayesy-B, I need honesty from you.
Hazy, you got dumped a lot. Tell me. Tell him.
Grown adults with birthdays, it's asinine.
All right. Dear Hazy B,
Never
brought
heard
to you
that
by
steak.
Boston Pizza. Oh, it's a new one. JP's on Fire, Canada's favorite sports bar. Enjoy $15 lunch at BP, where you get an entree, a side, and a drink, and you'll get it all in 20 minutes or less. A fast lunch doesn't have to be a fast food. See you for a $15 fast lunch at your local Boston Pizza.
You guys know the deal, man. We help people, and we talk about serious problemos. Ready to rock, Frankie?
Yep, here we go.
Dear Hayesy-B, me and some buddies took in the Four Nations face-off in Montreal and visited one of the legendary establishments after one of the games. When we entered, we saw one of our golf buddies' dads inside, and he was going full Frank the Tank in a back room. Not just having a good time, but he was taking it to the next level, if you know what I mean. If he was coming our way, we would turn our faces to avoid him so he didn't see us, as that would be a brutal sight. Is this something we bring up to our buddy, or do we keep it in the vault and don't bring it up again?
I think it's vault and you throw away the key, personally.
Yeah, but dude, I don't know, man.
It's a weird one because, like, that's a nightmare. You run into someone that's not in your bubble, you know what I mean? That it's
But
like,
dude,
an
how
obscure
horrifying
reference.
is it if you're like the only time you have an interaction with a guy is, hey, you want to play 9:15 on Wednesday? Yeah, sure. Hey, great shot, great putt, and you see his dad hanging off the ceiling at a peeler joint in Montreal.
Yeah, it's very off-putting and very unsettling, and that's my point. Is I think you leave it at that. The fact that your reaction was we got to turn so we don't see this guy is giving you the answer.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this, and this is a ruthless, shark-like mentality. If you're in a match with that guy and you're, 2 down on 13T, I might bring it up.
Dude, that's too greasy. That
I might
crosses
bring it up
the line.
if there's money on
Dude,
the line.
What are you, Don Johnson in the movie? Like, or what's that? What was the character he played
Who?
in the golf movie, Tin Cup?
Oh,
like
yeah. What was it? Where he hit the ball down the concrete, like down the road to mess with Tin Cup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like you're Shooter McGavin.
It's
you're
gutless and greasy, but it is something in the back pocket.
That is gutless, and you would never do that. I know you. You're way too good of a person. You would never
I
do that.
probably wouldn't.
This
but-
has to stay in the vault, and
Yes.
it just kind of becomes your dirty little secret. And every time you see this guy, it's like you'll have a little chuckle inside, and it's not nice. But at the end of the day, it just becomes a dirty little secret that you and your buddies know about, and he doesn't know about.
Well, and again, if it was a scenario where the guy, he was just in there with other guys and then he left, you might reference it because then it may come up and the dad would be like, oh, yeah, he saw me in there. The thing is, you can't just say, hey, I saw your dad there, because then if he goes to the dad's like, what did he see when I was
Yeah.
there? Because
Did he see like nose
Be
beers
specific.
and other things?
making it rain everywhere. Like, that's off the charts. That's something nobody wants to
Yeah.
be a part of.
I think
So,
what you got to
vault.
do is, I think you go through the directory, and maybe the old man's a member at the club too.
Let him live his life.
No,
What does he
I
care?
know.
What does he
But
care?
you just put in a call and say, look, man, you were out of your mind at Wanda's, and we saw you. I'm serious. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't that you'd be doing the guy a favor saying you were out of your mind and you were doing egregious things, and me and some guys from the club put eyes on you, and we didn't want to say anything, but we wanted to let you know.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Because if you
That's
don't
possible.
do that, there's somebody else in the group that might just do something horrendous, like do something in public, like saying, hey, Bill, saw you crushed in Montreal doing all that nonsense. Like, what was up with that?
Yeah. Keep it simple or vault. You don't go to the other guy. It's that easy. All right. What else do we have?
Dear Hayesy-B, I was at home last night watching Canada's victory against the USA, and I saw a text message pop up on my wife's phone, and it was from a Brianna McSteven, who she's never mentioned anything about, a work bestie. I did not look at the message, but I feel that this has all the makings to be one of those undercover fake names. I don't feel good about it, and it's becoming pretty fishy around here. How should I proceed with this?
Interesting.
I mean,
yeah.
Brianna McSteven pops up as work.
I got the answer for you.
Go ahead.
I got the answer right now. You have to be upfront and direct, but at the same time gentle about it. So you're going to have a conversation where you just finished dinner and you say, listen, I didn't mean to see anything. I don't snoop around, but I saw this name pop up on your phone. You've never mentioned this person before. Who is she? It just made me a little uneasy. And you got to approach it that way because any way around the bush.
The spelling of that name is just
Is it Brianna? Is it Brianna McSteven? Yeah. That doesn't sound like a real name.
Dude, that is a ghost name, man. You need to call. Just say, dial that name, please.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Or what you do is, if it is someone from work, truly, you type in a LinkedIn search with that name and see if that pops up. You got to go LinkedIn Premium.
Now you're starting to search and you're trying to find, and then if you find, then it's all good. But
I think the best policy is just to come clean.
Come clean with it. I mean, that's the thing about the bubbles, right? Like the message bubbles that pop up. There's been a lot of people that have been burned, I'm sure, over the last 15 years with a pop-up on a phone. Like a
How many people
pop-up.
got burned with, like, the iCloud where, like, they were on the road
those stories
doing
are out there, Frank.
some nonsense, and the iPad was back home going ding, ding, ding. Like,
there are documented stories of that. Like, the guy, I don't know if it was a man or a woman, whatever, but it's like,
you guys you're missing the biggest takedown of all, a search history.
Oh, well, yes. I mean, the search history that brings very incriminating charges. It could put you in a very tough spot with almost anybody. But, I think you just, come clean. Just, hey, what's going on? Who is that person? And if you get a cool answer, move on with your life. Who cares? It's all good.
Yeah.
All right.
All good. That's probably nothing. Dear Hazy-B,
don't worry about it.
My dad is 62. I'm 35, and my two brothers are 32 and 30. My dad is taking us to the Leafs-Canes game tomorrow night for the first time in our life. We have been separately as adults, but never taken us as a family. We're small-town guys from southwestern Ontario, and we would love to have beers before and after the game in a location that is fitting for non-Toronto type guys. That's what that my dad won't be uncomfortable in. What is our best game plan for the night? Additionally, I don't know why he felt the need to add this. I'm 6'1", and my two younger brothers are 6'3" and 6'5", both 250 bills and plus. Ooh. So somewhere that 8 to 10 beers won't break the bank is preferred. Thanks, brother.
Listen, Boston Pizza on front is the first thing that comes to mind because Boston Pizza, it's probably wherever your hometown is, there's one of them. You go down there, there'll be a million Leaf fans. It's a 5-minute walk to the rink.
Dude, why don't we get them set up tomorrow night? Doogie?
Dialed.
Look it up.
Doogie might be down there, too. Doogie's on the prowl down there in front and around the rink. And, Doogie, maybe he's already got plans. I don't know. Maybe Doogie's got Brianna McStevens on, the
Dude,
back
that's
burner.
a fake name, man. I'm sorry.
It screams fake handle. It does. That is concerning.
You guys just said everything's okay with that.
No, I don't know. I'm trying to be nice. I mean, I think you're in trouble, dude. I think that's the truth. He's going to be in trouble there. But
but is it almost too fake? Like, why wouldn't she just put like Stacey Adams?
Yeah, it is. But maybe she's overthinking it. And she's like, if I do that, he's going to think that can't be real. It's too obvious of a name, and then they start. You get into this weird place. I don't know.
You'll be in a pickle. You'll be in a pickle if you call in a huff, and you're like, "Who is this?" And she goes, "It's Brianna McSteven."
Yeah, well then exactly. It's like, what's your problem? Why now you don't trust, and that's a dicey angle too, man. You got to be careful with all that. But as for these guys, it's awesome. The four of them are going to the game. It should be a fun game. But I can't give you any other spots than that. There's so many great spots downtown. And then afterwards, honestly, follow the crowds because there's crowds. It's amazing to watch. It's cold here, obviously, and there's a lot of snow, but you're used to that. You're from Ontario. People come pouring out of that building, and every place is full within like 20 minutes. And it's, there's a million options. You'll find out. You're probably not hitting King West. You're not hitting Yorkville. Find just a nice little pub. Start at Boston Pizza before the game. Go wherever after. You guys will have a great time.
Yeah.
Great time.
Yeah. It's sound advice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else?
I got nothing else to add. You got to go to BP.
All good. Do we have any more?
I've got one more pulling up here that I want to see what Doogie has concocted. Dear Hayesy-B, my two buddies and I are driving 6 hours to Ottawa for the weekend to have a golf sim booked Saturday. One insists on bringing his clubs just for this. We're in a tiny SUV and he wants to lug them across the province. Is this guy out of his mind or is it just me?
No, it's just you, man. I have such great appreciation for this because
Dude, I'm sorry, you're dead wrong on this one, man.
you got to
can't
play your own
bring
clubs. You got to
No.
play your clubs.
So
Yes,
you
do.
get to lug your clubs, and everyone else has to like not bring stuff.
They can
because
bring
there's
their
no
clubs.
room.
You'll find
No,
room
dude.
for everyone. You'll
Dude,
find
what's
a
wrong
room
with
for
this,
everybody.
Hazy? A lot less, like a lot more spacious. You bring the QI 35,
Yep.
tailor-made sand wedges, a new P790 7-iron, 4-iron, and 8-iron, and that's all you like. You don't need the full bag.
Well,
that's my question.
probably true. If you're playing
Yes.
the sim, you're not going to be in a situation where you're like, is it the 5 or the 6? Like, you probably can cut down your bag. But that's a great point. Like, let's say you're one of the lucky guys. These new P790s look so phenomenal by TaylorMade. If you have them, you're dying to hit them in the sim. Like, because we're still 2 months away from playing golf.
All right, bring
guys.
the whole bag then and
That's
put in a range
that's my
sesh.
thing. Like, I'd be sitting here being like, I want to bring my 7 wood. I'm gonna test that
Here's
out.
what you bring: a grocery bag with your clothes, nice and compact. No,
Yes.
you don't take up any space, and everyone brings the clubs and you tee it.
Exactly. Or
One
one
pair of
outfit guy.
underwear, a
One
pants,
outfit
and a
guy,
shirt.
but you
Yeah.
have to have your clubs stacked from the driver all the way to the 60
This is what you do: you put some clothes in the golf bag. Because
Exactly
you have
the
the
move.
big zipper down the side, underwear, socks, all that kind of stuff goes in there. You need a little knapsack. You can keep
It's
that
your
on
only
your lap.
bag. It's your
Yeah.
only bag.
Only bag is a golf bag, the travel bag. You kill two birds with one stone. Because if you go to, so you might play Augusta, or you could play, Riviera. You could be playing like Pine Valley. Who knows what you're playing? You do not want to be handed clubs that just don't have grips. Or what are you doing, man? You got to have your clubs. Fully support that behavior. It's crazy. It's lunatic behavior, but I would share it.
I guess
Hey,
if we're
I think you guys would both have good knowledge on this one. One quick one before
Okay.
we're done.
What do you
Dear
got?
Hazy-B, I'm planning a bachelor party for May 2-4 weekend in Cancun. 7 guys have agreed to go, and we want it to be booked by February 15th. When it came time to book it, one guy stopped me and said he still needs to book it off work. Do we book without him or continue to wait? I think you just say, bud, you're out. Like, if you can be a last-minute addition, but we're booking this thing, we're not waiting around for you.
Yeah, I think you got to listen. There's got to be a drop-dead date for something like this. Like, there's a lot of people's lives are involved. There's a lot of different moving balls in the air. If you have a drop-dead date, that's what it's got to be. And if he hasn't cleared it, what he's really telling you is he's not sure he wants to go. That's what he's saying. He's like,
Or
I don't
can go.
or can go. Exactly. It's one or
That's
the other. I'm not
probably
sure I
more
want
what it
to,
is.
or if I can, I'll have to let you know. And that's fine. Maybe he jumps on, and that would be great. There's nothing better than that. The guy who comes pouring in late when you weren't expecting him, the best. Everyone's had that. The road trips where the guy shows up out of nowhere, it's amazing. But the guys who are prepared, we're talking Cancun here. It's a big trip, big
Dude,
expense. You got to lock it in.
The translation of that is, I ran this by my wife, and she said, and no way in hell are you going on that golf trip.
or
Possibly.
Why aren't you
or-
going to Sarasota, pal? What, you got to
Possibly.
go to Cancun?
he hasn't found the right time to massage it in and is waiting for like a good day. Hasn't had a good day in a long time to bring it up, and he's just trying to kick it down the road. But I think you're right. The only order of operation here is say, we are booking by next Monday, and whoever's in is in. Everyone else, you're welcome to come. You just got to make your own arrangements.
Absolutely. You know where we're going to be, and we'd love to have you. That's sound advice.
Cancun, though, like, does it need to be in Cancun? Like,
Cancun, I do not. No one thinks golf in
No.
Cancun. Do they even have a
No.
course down there? Like
it's like, I think of Senior Frogs till
Exactly.
5 in the morning.
bubble
and crawling
parties
back to,
with
yes.
your wedge. Like that's. I'm not buying that golf is involved at all, quite frankly. But anyway, all right, there you go. Dear Hazy-B, here to help people. And I think we've accomplished that, and that's ultimately.
I just, like, little side note, I typed in Brianna McStevens on LinkedIn,
Real person?
I didn't get one match.
Ooh, not a good sign, man.
I got like Brianna, all these other Brianna names, McLaughlin, whatever.
I've never met a McStevens.
Never
either.
Dude,
Son
if
of Stevens?
Did that name reeks of a fake name?
I've never heard of it.
That's a coffee after dinner, and then like, hey, put that on speaker and call up old Brianna McSteven and let's see what he has to say.
Now, hey, why is Domino's Pizza text you at 11:30 at night some nights, honey?
Great question. great question. All right, best bets coming up. We'll put a cap on what's been a pretty wild week and certainly a great afternoon with Canada winning again last night. Raptors in action tonight. Leafs back at it tomorrow night. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Anytime goal scorer tomorrow, Leon Draisaitl. It's paying plus 110, not great value, but this guy's been off for 2 weeks, watching everyone else cook.
Frothing.
He's in Philly tomorrow. I think he torches this team tomorrow.
He'll
that's
get
my
7
only play.
goals tomorrow, man.
I wouldn't be surprised if Draisaitl comes out and goes, all right, 4 Nations, you guys have a good time?
Let's watch this. I'm
let's
better
rock.
than all of you.
Yep. So that's my play tomorrow. Best bets powered by FanDuel. Live same-game parlays are now available for every NHL game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 18+. Physically located in Ontario.
You think they're going to, like, relegate or, like, tell one nation to beat it if they stink? Like the Finns, do they get told to beat it?
I doubt it.
Isn't it a one-time thing?
It's a one-time thing because the World Cup, they have said that there's going to be more teams.
8. They want 8 teams in that.
So if that's the case, they're predicting that Russia will be back by 2028, is it, I think? That's their they have to be believing that Russia will be back in the fold by that point. So you'd have the 4, Russia. You got to have Germany,
Czechia.
I guess. Czechia is going to be in there. Slovakia. Possibly. And then I don't know. We could be missing a nation at this point, but you got to fill it out, man. And that's going to be that has potential to be great. The World Cup. If you do it every 4 years, NHL rules, NHL time zone, NHL buildings, it could be great. Really,
it'll be interesting though when you get these teams filled out with guys from Europe who are now playing NHL rules and. Like, you're stopping European seasons halfway through. They don't do that, right?
No.
The men's worlds is a big deal for those countries, not for us because playoffs are going. They gotta find a way to make that work with the IIHF.
How old is McJesus? How many Olympics does he got in him? This one plus another one?
27, I believe, right? Or turning 27. So he's got 2 more where it's prime time. Like 2 more prime time. And then I would say a third one where he's like where Sid is now.
Yeah.
So he's probably got 3, 2 where he's the man, and so he's 28. So he'll be, 20, maybe 29, 33, 37. Yeah, basically like Sid. Like that's probably what we're talking about. The next 2 where he's rocking, the third one where he's the ceremonial leader who's still got something left.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy. He should have had 2 already.
That's what is, you try to look past it because it's over now, but it does suck that it's been a decade since we had something like this.
Yeah, that's not the players all said that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a joke. It's embarrassing in retrospect, but like COVID factored into an extent. They were going to maybe go to the Olympics in 22, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they just
Olympic cost them that.
Yeah, they just couldn't do it.
Or COVID did.
COVID did. All right, Raptors in action tonight, Miami in town, and then Leafs Carolina tomorrow. I am curious to see what it looks like, the NHL resuming. Because it was just an incredible 2 weeks. Full credit to the NHL, the PA, all the players. Like it was really, really memorable. We're not going to forget it. And
they did a good job. I wonder, in a few weeks' time, what we're going to be talking about, post-tournament. Are guys going to be too banged up? Did guys come back and all of a sudden they're playing light years ahead of everyone else because, they were playing at such a high level? And are there guys that played this and then they fall off? Or is there guys that played this and then they springboarded into something, big? Like, do the guys – I look at Detroit. Does Larkin and Raymond come back and light the world on fire and Detroit makes the playoffs? Because both those guys were unreal for their countries.
Great question. Detroit needs it. If you're Todd McClellan, that's what you're banking on, man.
Yeah.
That is for sure. All right, good stuff. Great stuff. Thank you, Frankie. Always appreciate you doing that.
Thanks, guys.
As always, thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your weekends. We're back Monday at
Speakerphone, Brianna. After dinner. 4 p.m.
Chat then.